because these storms don't always move in a linear fashion. They'll slow down a little bit, they'll speed up a little bit, and that can make the difference of minutes, which is why you don't really want to plan on getting into your safe place at 7:09 if you're in Calhoun. Just go there now. Save yourself a little bit of extra time. Take your cell phone in there with you. Make sure you have something to keep your head safe. Adairsville looking at 7:17. Again, if it holds together, maybe Fairmount 7:31. Typically with this system, these spin-ups are very, very quick. So, hopefully it will not be lasting that long. But again, it's where we see, and I'll zoom in a little bit here as well, because I want to kind of show where we're looking at some of these communities. Beetham and Subliga, that's where we're looking at. It still has that notch in here. Wherever you see these purple areas as well, that's where we have the potential for some hail with this system as it continues to pull down towards the south and east. So again, it's not just Chattooga County that is under the warning right now. It's also going to be for Floyd County as well, and then extreme southern portions of Whitfield and Murray. So notice the main area of this rotation has already passed the Oakton area. It's past Tryon. Now it's continuing to slide off towards the south and east. And we're going to continue to monitor this until we get the warning to lift. And we're going to continue this as we go in towards the next 15 minutes or so. So I do want to emphasize, tornado, not the only threat with this system. Damaging straight line winds on the leading edge of this. So we see this green go to this red very, very quickly. That's where we're going to see that potential for some very strong wind gust with this. In fact, we've had reports from northern Alabama with widespread tree damage down in DeKalb and Cherokee counties. Again, those are the Alabama counties, not the Georgia counties. And those are the ones that butt up right to our viewing area. So again, latest radar scan, that notch is not as evident. But if we look at the velocity, it still is. We still have that green against red as it continues to push off towards the south and east. So again, new scan, new track. So let's go ahead and put that on there for you. So Plainville, 7:07, Calhoun, now 7:08, Adairsville, 7:16, Fairmont, 7:31, White, if it holds together, maybe 7:35. I think it's going to take more of this northerly path, though, so White, you may be in the clear on this one. But Adairsville, Fairmont, if it holds together, these are storms that could be coming into your area. And even if the tornado threat diminishes, we're still going to be looking for that potential for some very strong damaging straight line winds, the potential for hail as well. And then also as we go in towards the rest of the evening, these storms could also push off towards the east. So I want to go ahead and see if we have, there we go. I want to put the reflectivity back on so we can kind of get an idea of this. Notice it's a very small portion of this line, so that's some good news. But the northern extent moving through Dalton also has the potential for some hail with this system. So I kind of want to point that out as well, because I want to focus on all the threats from this system that it's going to be pushing on into. So notice back into here, we have the potential for some 1-inch hail, lots of lightning with this, of 1/2-inch hail with those lighter areas of purple. And if we take a look, you can see over 190 lightning strikes with just this particular cell alone. That's not even including the one that's off towards the north. And that's where we're going to be seeing the potential for a little bit more activity. So you can see a prolific lightning maker, Calhoun. This one is going to be knocking on your door. I think you should go ahead and start to take cover a little bit. So as we make our way into the rest of the next 20 minutes or so, go ahead and starting to push towards your safe place. That's going to be in the most interior portion of your building. I also want to note, I'm off screen here because I'm trying to look at the latest for the National Weather Service. They are going to be extending this warning to the north in Dalton, off to the east. So that is a severe thunderstorm warning. So heads up, folks, in extreme western Gilmer and Fannin counties, you could be under the warning as well as we make our way into the next 20-25 minutes or so. When I talk about your safe place, this is what I'm talking about. You're going to be heading into the most interior portion of your home, and that definitely means inside, not outside here. And we're going to be seeing maybe a interior hallway, the stairs, a closet. That's what's really going to be the best place for you. Even better is going to be the basement. Basically any room that does not have any windows with it, any doorways, any access whatsoever to the outside walls. Now, here is that severe thunderstorm warning. It has been extended. Notice there's a lot of people in this new warning, and we're going to continue to watch. So let me go ahead and pull up that latest information here. We're going to be seeing all of this in northwest Georgia, now including portions of Bartow County over into Gordon County as well. And we're seeing this particular cell is heading on in towards Gordon County until 7:30, and the tornado warning is going to be lasting until the top of the hour. So these are what we're watching, and let's go ahead and time out this whole line because it's moving off towards the east as we go in towards about 40 miles an hour. And what this means is we're going to be looking at Dalton pretty much right now. We're going to be looking at Resaca around 7:05, Chatsworth 7:07, Damascus 7:08, Calhoun 7:11. So really about the 7:09, 7:11 area for Calhoun. And this is with that main line of storms. So not just the tornadic portion, not just the rotation, but this is where we could see damaging straight line winds. Also the potential for some small hail as well. Now, folks in Adairsville, this could be moving into your area as we head in towards 7:22, Carter's Lake at 7:24, Ellijay. Again, remember we told you, folks, into far western Fannin and Gilmer County, this will be pushing to your way. So Ellijay moving in towards 7:33 and Fairmount looking at 7:34. So again, this is a severe thunderstorm, a line of severe thunderstorms that's pushing off towards the east about 40 miles an hour. It's got the potential for some damaging straight line winds. It has a history of providing widespread tree damage and downed trees in northern Alabama and then also into northwest Georgia. We've had reports of trees down over in towards Dade County, over in towards portions of Walker County as well. So the good news is, as it moves farther to the east, it's running into a more unfavorable weather environment. The bad news is, though, it's still strong enough for it to have those severe potentials. And again, I want to time out because this is the reason we're going, complete weather right now, is because we have this threat for a tornado. Here is the circulation, still very evident on Doppler radar right now. Your first alert radar showing right there is where that couplet is. And as I zoom out and kind of move, I want to be able to take this out and show you where that rotation is moving. So notice it, the line itself already has the potential to go across northern portions of Bartow County, possibly even portions of northern Cherokee County if it holds together over the course of the next hour or so. So Plainville, we're going to be looking at 7:08, Calhoun 7:09, Damascus 7:10, Adairsville 7:17, Fairmount 7:32, White 7:36, and Waleska at 7:48. So this, again, that last track we did, that was the whole line. That was the severe thunderstorm. That was the winds, the hail, and the rotation included. This right here is the potential area where we could see that rotation, that possible tornado that's rolling through Chattooga County right now. And we're going to continue to watch that as we go and monitor this cell over the course of the next 20 minutes or so. So this is definitely a very strong and a very potent system. Again, want to emphasize not just severe, or not just that rotation, also the potential for a lot of lightning, a lot of hail, and a lot of damaging gusty winds. So right now, what we're seeing here is the potential for hail. Anywhere you see this lighter purple here, so we're talking just south of Summerville, just to the east of Tryon, over towards the east of Lafayette, and just about to head into Dalton, that's where we have at least half-inch sized hail. Now you need an inch to make it severe, and that's what we're seeing in these lighter purple areas here into far southeastern portions of Chattooga County, and then also right now just in towards portions about to head in towards northern Floyd County. So for folks in that northern part of Floyd County, where it kind of has that panhandle up to the north, all of this is heading in your direction as we head into the next 15, 20 minutes or so. So again, that's the rotation, that's the hail, that's the strong winds, and definitely the lightning that's moving on in. In fact, we still have over 175 lightning strikes with this at the moment. Lightning, definitely one of those tools that we use to see whether a storm is maintaining its strength, growing, or weakening. And that's obvious. Obviously, if the lightning count is going up, the storm is getting stronger. But what that also tells us, when we have a tornado-warned storm, if we see lightning around that rotation increasing, it means that circulation is maintaining itself, possibly even getting stronger. And if it's starting to go down, well, that's telling us that maybe we're starting to lose a little bit of that rotation as well. But still, a lot of lightning. See, right here in this notch is where we're looking at that rotation. That's the inflow to the storm. That's where we're getting the air pulled into the storm. And that's what's helping to cause that rotation within the storm itself. With the lightning over towards the northern extent of that, that's a pretty good indication that the thunderstorm is at least maintaining itself. It's not starting to weaken just yet, but it could, because once we start getting over towards Gilmer County, once we start getting in towards Pickens County, sure, you're under that severe thunderstorm watch until midnight, but the environmental conditions are not as good for the thunderstorms to continue their development. Where are we looking at right now in that secondary box? because it looks like they're getting whacked pretty hard right now. So this is up into Dalton right here. So this is up into Whitfield County. So this is a good indicator. Over into Dalton, you see all of this. You can see the rain just whipping through, the wind starting to push through. You can see a lightning flash there across the screen. That's what you can expect with this severe thunderstorm. And it includes places like Rome, Adairsville, Calhoun, Resaca, Chatsworth, all of this moving into your direction, but also that potential tornado here in Gordon County. About to really, I think the rotation now is out of Gordon County and now moving in towards Floyd County and possibly over in towards Gordon County as we get into the next 10 minutes or so. So I want to go ahead and zoom in here, show you that rotation, because I want you to see the roads and the towns and the communities that could be affected. So this is what we're looking at right here. Basically where this red and green are coming together. And you can see we got a new scan there. Okay, now it clearly is in that northern panhandle of Floyd County. It's right in this area here. So folks in Sugar Valley, Oostenola, Reeves, Damascus, Resaca, Gordon Central High School, Calhoun, Kroger, McDaniels. I know a lot of you know where this is. It's not on the map here, but the Buc-ee's up on 75. This is going to be heading up into your direction. So you definitely want to get out of that parking lot if you're in that area and maybe listening to us on the app and get into the building, and you want to get into your safe place, because what we're looking at is this rotation moving almost over Everett Springs Road right now, just north of Everett Springs, moving towards Rock Creek Road over in towards Gordon County, moving in towards Old Rome Dalton Road over into Gordon County north of Oostenola, and then Roland Hayes Parkway over towards Oostenola as well. So we're going to continue to monitor this. The good news is they have trimmed this warning down just a bit, so it's not quite as large as it was just a few minutes ago, but it's still there, which means we're still going to be looking at the potential for winds. Now, it looks like they're going to continue the severe thunderstorm warning. Right now, we are going to be looking at, I'm looking at a message right now from Catoosa County, that's up north. They've got trees down as well, but for right now, it looks like, and you hear me pausing because I'm reading, they are going to continue this warning, and they're probably going to expand it for folks over in towards Gordon County. So Calhoun, Resaca, Damascus, go ahead and take your safe place now. I'm going to zoom out because they are considering to expand this warning. So we're going to continue tracking it out so that folks well ahead of it can know to go ahead and get into their safe place. Because even though you're not under the warning right now, you are possibly going to be under a new warning that's going to be issued as we head in towards the next 10 minutes or so. So right now we're looking Calhoun 712, Damascus 713, Adair's 22, Fairmount 735, White 740, and Waleska 752. If this holds together, now notice this is a pretty broad cone here. I think it's going to be mainly this northern extent that has the potential to see that severe weather move through. So we are talking Damascus, Calhoun, Adairsville, Fairmount, Jasper, possibly Waleska, White and South. I think you might be good, but still head to that safe place anyway, because even if the rotation is not coming your way, you still have a severe thunderstorm that is coming down the line. And we're going to continue to monitor that as we head into the next 15, 20 minutes or so. So let's go ahead and take a look now. Let's go back to reflectivity. This is what, the precipitation. When we say reflectivity, what that means is it's measuring what's in the air. So in this case, rain and hail for the most part, and how heavy and how dense they are moving in. So, right now we are looking at the heaviest coming into northern Gordon County, northern Floyd County. So again, anyone along I-75, anyone along Highway 53, 140, there's the Buc-ee's there that we were kind of talking about. This is heading in your direction, and if they extend that warning, I expect it will be heading towards, there it is right there, Calhoun and Plainville. You are now in the warning. Brand new coming in. This particular warning is going to be lasting until 7:15. So this is a shorter warning, and the reason for that is if we take a look at the reflectivity, let's go ahead and get that warning off of there real quick. It's not as impressive as it was maybe 30 minutes ago. So as I roll it back in time, you can see that it was much more compact right here northeast of Tryon as we went through 640, and then it kind of stayed together. That warning was issued. And then notice it's getting wider and wider and wider. So what that's telling us is that we still have the rotation, but it's maybe a little higher up, and it's maybe not as concise and straight in and, as intense as it was earlier. So again, I'm going to time this out just because that's what people need to know. Calhoun 710, Adairsville 719, heading towards Fairmount at 735, holding together if it does so towards the top. The broad rotation, though, is coming into definitely more populated areas into Gordon County. So if you know where obviously Calhoun is, but Oostenola, Reeves, Curryville, Everett Springs, this is heading in your area. Folks over into Roland Hayes Parkway, Reeves Station Road. This is Gordon County around Oostenola, around the river there. And then farther to the east, so not quite included in the warning is Calhoun proper and the Buc-ee's and Gordon Central High School. But if this holds together, obviously we're going to be looking at maybe being issued for your area as well. I do want to emphasize, though, we're not just monitoring this rotation. We're monitoring this whole line of showers and storms as it continues to slide off towards the southeast, roughly at about 40 miles an hour. So folks over in Eton, this is going to be heading in your direction again. We're not timing out the rotation at this point. We're timing out that entire line of showers and storms as it continues to slide off towards the east. So Eton, we're looking at 704. Resaca, we're looking at 704 as well. Damascus, 706. Chatsworth, about 706. Calhoun, 708. Plainville, 709. Adairsville, 720. Carters Lake, 724. Ellijay, 733. Fairmount, 732. So again, these are some of the cities far down the line are not in this warning quite yet. Again, they were timing out the severe thunderstorm warning for the potential for some damaging winds. We've had numerous trees down already because of this storm, so you definitely want to kind of keep that in mind. The potential for some large hail, maybe ½ inch to an inch size in diameter, so that's roughly the size of a dime to a quarter, and then obviously that rotation there as well. So this pretty much going everywhere from Gilmer County all the way down towards Cherokee and Bartow counties is the potential for these showers and storms to really move through and to continue to bring that severe potential across the area. So now we're talking possibly making it into maybe the extreme north portions of the metro as we head in towards maybe the next hour or so. The good news is, though, and I want to zoom out a little bit because I want to put, some of the distance here into perspective. So folks over in towards Dahlonega, Helen, Clayton, I think this should weaken before it gets to you because there is just so much cooler air and so much more stable air the farther over in this direction you go, and also the farther south you go as well. So notice, though, it is starting to get into portions, if it holds together, we're talking North Metro, so Canton, Woodstock, coming maybe in the next hour, hour and a half or so, if it continues to hold that severe potential. I don't think it will once we get past Dawsonville, Dahlonega, coming into Gainesville, just because the air is so stable in these areas. But you could still see some pretty strong downpours. You could also see some gusty winds. Even though the storm's not severe, you could see small hail. You could see also the potential for some strong winds, maybe 40, 50 miles an hour. Those are strong, but they're not quite severe, where you have to be 58 mile an hour or greater to make your way into that severe thunderstorm category. But right now, we have that large severe thunderstorm. We have that warning in Calhoun. I do want to, since we have a new radar scan, to kind of pull that in here. And again, anyone along US 41 right now, anyone along Highway 53, I-75, if you know someone traveling on I-75 between Adairsville, the Buc-ee's, and Damascus, tell them that, this is not a time you want to kind of move into that area because we do have that rotation that, again, it is much broader. And now we do have a new warning for northern portions of Gordon County as well. So I'm kind of switching gears here just a bit, but now a new tornado warning has been issued for portions of Murray County and extreme northern Gordon County. This warning is going to be in effect until we get to 7:15. So again, notice these warnings are not lasting very long. And the reason is because these types of spin-ups just don't typically last very long. So I'm switching over to look and see exactly how fast this is moving, because that's going to be important as we go in towards, tracking this out. Not all storms are the same. So this one's still moving to the 40 miles an hour, but it is not moving to the east. It's moving more southeast in nature. So let's go ahead and time that out, because we do want to kind of see exactly where this is going to be headed. So again, here's the warning itself. Here's the cell. If it holds together. So again, a lot of these cities not quite in the warning right now, but if it holds together, you may not see the rotation, but you'll definitely see the severe weather pushing through. We're talking Carters Lake at around 727. Jasper is looking at 750. Waleska, 753. Nelson, maybe at 759. Canton and Ball Ground, maybe at 802. I'm saying maybe because, I'm thinking this is going to be more along the northern edge of this. So Ball Ground and Canton and Waleska, maybe not quite included with this particular rotation, but the potential is still there. And you'll definitely still see some of those showers and storms as they continue to roll through and across North Georgia over the course of the next 20-30 minutes or so. So let's pull that off the map real quick. Notice, again, a lot of lightning with this, over 200 strikes of lightning between these two main cells that both have that rotation as we go in towards the northwest Georgia area. Again, this is an area that's going to be looking at the potential for that severe thunderstorm watch to remain in effect until we get in towards the midnight hour. And so that's one of the reasons we're going to continue to monitor this as it slides off towards the east. So again, we have two tornado warnings, both of them affecting Gordon County, just two slightly different areas of Gordon County. This first one up in south of Dalton could be clipping the northern extent of Gordon County. This one back out towards the west. Notice, though, it's got that notch back in it, so it may be recycling back up. They can do that. Storms are very cyclical in nature, and it's possible that this one could be cycling back up just based on the fact that we are seeing a little bit of an inflow notch there. Again, that inflow is where the air is rushing into the storm very quickly, helping to provide a lot of fuel, a lot of energy, a lot of rotation with that system. So folks over into Calhoun definitely want to kind of get into your safe spot if you're not already. We've been talking about Calhoun probably for the last half hour or so. I do want to zoom in here because if that inflow notch is any indication, we could be seeing a little bit more. Yep, that's exactly where the rotation is. Let's go ahead and put a little bit, let's look back in time because I want to see if it's kind of coming back together again. Maybe a little bit, nothing conclusive, but definitely something to kind of keep an eye on. The other thing, again, we've mentioned this, I want to mention it again. Large hail is possible with this on the backside. Very typical when you're dealing with some of these stronger storms and some of these tornadic storms as well. Again, though, what we are looking at is the potential for two areas of rotation moving into Gordon County. One of them right now just to the west of Calhoun. The other one moving from Whitfield and Murray County to possibly extreme northern Gordon County. So really right now, Resaca, you're threading the needle between the two. Same for folks over into Damascus. But, you are seeing some very heavy rain right now. You're seeing the potential for some hail, especially northeast of Resaca. Let's zoom in here. Angelville, Nicholsville, over towards Decorah. What we are seeing here is, when we see these darker black spots, that's usually the indicator that we are seeing a little bit heavier hail in those areas. That's some very high, we could say reflectivity values, but what that's telling us is some very dense, something very dense is in the atmosphere right there. And that's what's continuing to, slide off towards the east. So even though they're not in those two, tornado warnings, they are in that severe thunderstorm warning. They have that potential to see some very strong to severe weather. So as we take a look, Chattooga County over near Tryon, we're hearing now that there are multiple reports of trees down near Mountain View Road and Spring Creek Road over into Tryon. So again, this is the potential for, not just tornadoes. That's really not the biggest threat tonight. I don't want to say it's not the threat because obviously we have two warnings going on right now, but the biggest threat actually is going to be down trees widespread from this severe thunderstorm that's pushing off towards the east. So you can see it stretching from Murray County all the way back down into Floyd County, and then including portions of Bartow, Gordon, up in towards Murray, Gilmer County as well. So everyone in that yellow warning needs to treat this like it is a tornado warning because we have multiple reports of trees down in the wake of this storm, and that could be what's heading into your area right now. So again, we still have the tornado warning here in northern Floyd and over in towards Gordon County. Floyd County, the northern panhandle part, I know you're included in the warning. Most of this rotation, though, has pushed well off towards the east. Most of that now is starting to roll into the Calhoun area. So Calhoun, you're not quite in that warning. You're literally maybe 3 blocks outside of it. But regardless if they cancel the warning or not, you are going to have some very strong winds. You're going to have the potential to see some large hail, and you will see frequent and intense cloud-to-ground lightning. In fact, you should already be hearing that rumble of thunder off into the distance. And same for folks over in towards northern Gordon County and southern Murray County as well, because I think most of this rotation has now moved outside of Whitfield County. So now Murray and Gordon County are going to be included in this as well. But Rome, most of this looks like it's staying off to the north. So that's some good news for you. Adairsville, this is going to be moving to your area in the next 20 minutes or so. Anyone along Highway 411, Highway 41, I-75 south of Calhoun, this is moving into your direction. If you know anyone who's going to be traveling on that area or is traveling on that area, maybe shoot them a message. Obviously, we don't want them using their cell phones, but hopefully they've got an in-dash system that they may be able to see it to say, hey, kind of let this storm pass because it's kind of a doozy here. So, that's what we're going to be keeping an eye on. I'm going to switch it back over. I want to see if the National Weather Service has any information. Nothing new on the storm itself, but we are seeing numerous reports in our chat that we have with them of damage coming in from the Tryon and the Somerville area and then up towards Dalton as well. And that's very typical with these types of storms. Obviously we're not going to get the damage report as the storm is ongoing, but once people have the opportunity after the storm passes to get out and do some assessments, that's when we'll start to see the heavier storm report starting to roll in. So let's go ahead and time this out again. Again, this is the entire line of severe weather. This is extending outside of the warning. A lot of these cities I'm about to mention, you're not under the warning, but if they extend it again, it is going to be moving into your area. So we're going to be looking at Adairsville, 717, Carter's Lake. We're going to be looking at 720, Johnson Elementary School about 722. Fairmount, we're going to be looking at 727. Kingston 730, same for folks in Ellijay. White 737, Jasper 745, Waleska about the same time, 746 in Cartersville. If it holds together, we're talking 746 as well. So this is the potential where we have damaging winds, some large hail, and maybe another isolated tornado spin up. If you were with us about 10 minutes ago, you saw that first warning. We were talking about it. That second warning popped up very quickly. In fact, it was still on that side of the screen. So that's one of the things that is very typical of these systems. As we go back and look at your velocity, I want to zoom in here because it is moving closer. It's very broad. If they haven't extended this warning yet, I'm not sure if they will, just because the circulation is now moving outside of the warning area. But it's so much more broader than it was, maybe just even 3 or 4 minutes ago, extending from Calhoun almost down to Plainville, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put that extra S in there, but still, even if there's not rotation moving in, we're talking, Highway 53, McDaniel Station Road, South Wall Street, the Kroger in Calhoun, Highway 41, I-75, Curtis Parkway, Marine Drive, the Buc-ee's. All of you are still under that severe thunderstorm warning, even if you're not under the tornado warning. So that's the potential for that damaging straight line winds. We've seen it. We have reports of it back into northern Alabama, also over in towards Chattooga County, up into Catoosa and Dade and Murray and Whitfield counties. So we're getting those reports in. So, don't take this system lightly just because you're not in that rotation area. Now, the rotation up here is still there, but it definitely is nowhere near as impressive as it was just a few scans ago. And you can see it as I draw it on here, right here in that area. And that's, again, moving off towards the southeast at about 40 miles an hour. So, again, moving across northern Gordon County. Folks over into Pickens County, this, if it holds together, is going to be moving in your area. And sure enough, I'm going to time this out because Carter's Lake at 735, Fairmount 743, Jasper 802, Waleska maybe 804, Nelson 812. I'm going to rush past y'all real quick because they did, in fact, extend this warning here. So the reason for that is the circulation, while broad, apparently is still enough that it could drop a tornado or have one on the ground right now. So Adairsville, you are now included in the warning. Buc-ee's, you are now included in the warning. Gordon County, also into northern portions of Bartow County. You're going to be looking at this lasting another 17 minutes to about 7:30 in the evening. So Sonoraville, you are now included in the tornado warning. And as we kind of zoom in, I want to show you, it's just now. Buc-ee's, this is almost right on top of you. If you know anywhere in the Lily Pond, McDaniels, Buc-ee's area, this is moving into your direction. Take shelter immediately. Do not, if you know someone in that area or you're listening on the app now, do not stay in your car in the parking lot. You do not want to be in a vehicle while this is going on. So make sure to find a sturdy structure for yourself to get into as we go in towards the next 20 minutes or so for the Adairsville and Sonora area. But Buc-ee's, this is right on top of you pretty much right now. So as we take a look, I clear that out really quickly. I need to zoom out in order to get a proper track on this. You hear me pause because, again, I'm trying to do this and talk with the National Weather Service to kind of see what's going on. All right, here we go. So, again, Buc-ee's, this is right on top of you. I'll move this so you can kind of still see the radar that's happening. Adairsville, 722. White, if it holds together, 740. That's another 25 minutes from now. Emerson and Waleska near 753. Canton and Ackworth and Holly Springs just after the top of the hour. In the near 810, we're talking Woodstock, Kennesaw, maybe Kennesaw State University. Again, though, those areas in northern Cobb County, more likely to see that severe potential than they are the, sorry, my radar just went out. I'm trying to pull it back on there for you. More likely to see the severe potential than they are the rotation here. I'm switching between different radars right now. This is the one coming in from Peachtree City. This is the one from northern Alabama. This one's still giving me slightly better resolution. So here, again, you can see it. We've been talking about it this whole time. That curve into the storm is where all the air is rushing in to fuel it, but that is also what can give us that potential for rotation in the storm itself. And in fact, if we zoom in, yeah, it's almost like we have this secondary part developing on the backside. I want to compare that. Yeah, that's kind of where we would expect to see. So this storm may be cycling in on itself. Might be too early to tell, but it's definitely evolving one way or the other. It'll be interesting to see which part of that ends up the dominant portion of this cell. But for right now, I do want to, the part that we've been tracking is just now going over Lily Pond, Bucky's, McDaniels. So Interstate 75 over towards Highway 41, Darby Road Southwest. Again, all of this is in Gordon County, south of Calhoun, around the Bucky's exit. Gardner Spring Road over towards Mason Road, Blackwood. Notice as we zoom in a little bit more, so this is going to be over near Clarence King Drive, Marine Drive, Bellwood Road, Thomas Road, Dodds Avenue. This is where we're seeing that very broad circulation, and then possibly, so this is what we're timing out right now. I'm very intrigued to see how this portion of the cell evolves. It may be just a glitch on the radar. It may be something trying to happen on the backside of the storm, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Now, as an update, though, I do want to emphasize we were past 7:15. They decided to drop the warning for Murray County and northern Gordon County. So folks near Carter's Lake over towards Petersburg, Audubon, Nicholsville, Decorah, no longer near that tornado warning, but still under that severe thunderstorm warning for the potential for some very strong winds on the leading edge of this system. In fact, we haven't been talking about you in Rome too often, but that leading edge is starting to work its way in. If you haven't already, you're going to notice some winds picking up there, maybe the potential for some small P to dime-sized tail along the northern edge of Veterans Memorial Highway there on the north side of town. So over near Riverside, Mount Berry Mall, Berwyn, Dogwood Estates, Aterium Heights, Fieldwood, this is where we're going to be looking for the potential for that severe thunderstorm to begin to move in right now. But as at the moment, that notch, not quite as impressive at the last scan, but what is, I'm going to zoom in here because I want to see what it's coming in. It's still coming in as 1-inch hail for this particular area, but between that and the black color on the radar embedded in this area of hot pink here, this is where we're seeing some very, very heavy rain and the potential for some very large hail. Again, this is still within that tornado warning, so it just goes to show you it's not just the rotation we're going to be looking at, and that's right over here. I know I've zoomed in a lot, but it's so I can show you the roadways here. So the rotation is right here, coming into this notch where the green and the yellow are all coming together. On the back side of that, very large hail and some very heavy rain. So the hail near McDaniel Station Road, Shaw Road Southwest, Miller Ferry Road, McDaniel Station, Miller Ferry, okay, the same roads on the top end near Lily Pond. The rotation itself about to cross over Highway 41 and eventually make its way back over towards Interstate 75 as well. So this is going to be to the north of Adairsville and to the south of the Bucky's. The Bucky's would be right up here underneath the radar. So this is the area that we're looking at for the worst of the weather with this particular severe thunderstorm and this tornado warning as well. So as we zoom out a little bit, I want to make sure that everybody can kind of see where we're talking about. So as I take the lightning off, it's a great tool, but sometimes it kind of gets in the way of the radar. So I'm going to take it off very briefly. You're going to notice that all of this is coming now just to the south of Calhoun proper. Now, if you live on the south side of Calhoun, near the Kroger, Calhoun Outlets, McDaniels, even back towards Reeves, you're seeing very heavy rain and some large hail. And then this is the rotation area right here. So remember how we're kind of talking that back end? It looks like whatever was happening was either a glitch in the radar or it was starting to fizzle out a bit. Sorry about my voice doing that. I'm getting a little bit of dry throat here. I'm going to take a sip of water in just a minute. But for right now, I do want to point out that we are continuing to see that area coming in right here. So it's very evident on a radar. This is where the air is starting to come in. that is where we're going to be seeing that rotation. Notice it does line up with where that green, it's very broad, but where that green and that red do kind of start to come together. Now, when I say broad, what I mean is it's just very wide from one side to the other. And we do have, on this debris detector, we would typically look for a little bit of a lighter color, but it does not match up with where we have the rotation. So that's usually a sign that they are not indicating debris, but it is indicating something a little heavier in the turn, and some hail, and then also the potential there as we go in towards Adairsville and into Buc-ee's for that hail to be coming in to move there. They are going to extend the severe thunderstorm watch, including parts of the metro. So we haven't really talked about that much. So let me go ahead and show you. We've been more focused on the warnings, which is very important, but the watch itself is going to be for portions of northwest Georgia, but they are going to be extending it now as we go in towards Dallas and into Canton and possibly into Cobb County as well. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that and see exactly when they do start to push that out of the way. As we go back towards radar, it's going to take me a second. The radar, though, is still showing that large hail on the backside of the system moving in towards Buc-ee's, over in towards I-75. Again, very, very broad rotation with this cell, but still seeing that inflow notch right here south of Buc-ee's. I think the rotation itself has passed over I-75, so that's some good news for the folks who are traveling. What has not passed over I-75 are torrential rains and the potential for some very large hail, especially where you see these black areas starting to come into the hot pink. That's usually an indication that that's not just liquid rain anymore. That's going to be something frozen, something a little heavier in the atmosphere, something a little larger. And that has yet to cross over US 41. That is yet to cross over I-75. So that's going to be very, very detrimental for folks who are going to be traveling anywhere between Adairsville, the Highway 140 exit, all the way up towards the Calhoun exit here. And then for folks over into Sonoraville, this is going to be moving into your direction as well. So all of this now starting to slide over to the east. Again, we just saw a new radar scan come in. There's still a lot of black on the radar, indicating that potential for some large hail. So anytime you see black, again, on the first alert radar, that's what we're going to be looking for: large hail and heavy rains. And again, even though it looks like this rotation area, it's right here over southern I-75 south of Buc-ee's, even though that's crossed over the interstate, the hail potential and the heavy rain has not. So it's unfortunately still an issue that we're going to be having to deal with. That's another reason we want you to take these severe thunderstorm warnings very seriously, because even though they're not, I know a lot of people are like, well, it's not a tornado warning. It doesn't matter. Everything has its own threat there. We're going to be looking at that potential for strong, damaging straight line winds, also for large hail, and then this rotation here. So as we take a look, yeah, we're still seeing a little bit of that rotation. I'm going to draw it on here for you just in case it's not quite obvious. So kind of coming into that area here, we have the red up here, we have the green down here, and then we have the rotation around it here. So for folks around Highway 140, just to the east of Interstate 75, this is moving into your area.